everybody, my name is Jonathan and welcome to Bearly Unboxed. Happy Valentine's Day. Today we are going to make a custom Valentine's Day themed doll using this Ken Barbie Dream Besties doll. If you did see my Barbie Dream Besties video I did, I think it was a week or two ago, I did mention that I got an extra one of him for only like less than $5 at Target on clearance. And I have the idea to turn him into Eros, the God of Love. Now, I originally wanted to do a Monster High doll because I've been customizing Monster High dolls. But this is close enough because there are not that many G3 boy Monster High dolls. The Mansters are just not represented very well in G3, and it makes me sad. But so I was gonna make like sort of like Eros Monster High kind of themed, sort of like the Cupid doll, Cupid Asteria is from G3. But we are going to use this guy, and I think he's going to work perfectly. He's going to look more like, I think, an Ever After High custom, and I think that's really cool because I love Ever After High. I do have some up on this shelf right here. You can't really see them too well. You might be able to see a few of them. But, yeah, and Cupid was originally a Ever After High doll, and then she transitioned over to Monster High. So I'm making a Eros, which is, so Cupid and Eros are kind of like opposite ends. One is Greek and one is Roman. So Eros is the Greek god of love, and Cupid is the Roman equivalent. So I just thought it would be so much fun to make a Eros doll, and so we're gonna go get this out of the box, get him ready to be customized. I am gonna reroot the little bit of hair that he does have. I have some ideas for that, and we're even going to make him some full-sized, well, not full-size obviously, but doll-sized, huge, very majestic wings. His outfit I still have some ideas for, but yeah. So without further ado, let's get to that process. So to start, we just got to get the doll out of the box. So real quick, I will show that. If you want to see the full unboxing of this doll, there will be a link in the iCards for the video where I review him. His hair is so plastered to his head, but it should be easier to cut off that way, I think, because it's kind of sticking together. But to get the hair out properly, I am taking a hair dryer to warm his head up so I can pop it off. And I will say, I've never removed a head from a Dream Besties Barbie doll, and his head popped off really easily. I was very happy with that. So now we're just cutting all the hair off, and then we will remove it from the inside using a screwdriver, and you want to make sure it's a flathead screwdriver so you can scrape the inside of the head out. I did have a little trouble getting his hair to start coming out. I'm not sure if they secured the hair a little differently, but it looked like it was kind of like burned on the inside, I think is how they do it now. They no longer use glue, which is really good because then it's really easy to get it out. But I did have to pull it out through the top with some tweezers. I've never had to do that before. and just to get rid of any residue like hair gel or whatever they use on their hair, I am washing, or I should say cleaning, his head with some alcohol. These are the two colors that I decided to use for him. They are leftover colors, Tea Rose and Pink Sugar. I used these in a past project when I rerooted a Monster High doll and made it into a fairy. And I don't have a video of that one. That was a long time ago before I started doing YouTube videos, but I still had the hair. And I thought this is a perfect chance to use it up. So all the paint that I mix up for this project, I add a drop of that medium. It's like an acrylic flow aid. I was recommended that by someone on Reddit, that they were trying to help someone with some questions about customizing and painting. So I tried matching a pink color to the hair as close as I could. I always forget paint does dry a little darker than it is when it's wet. So it probably could have been a little lighter. You'll see later, but I don't think it's a big deal. I just wanted to paint over the blonde color that they have on his hair, and especially for the rerooting part, you don't want to see that through the pink hair. You don't want to see the blonde. But yeah, I think it covered really well. And now comes the fun process of rerooting the hair. Now this rerooting tool I made myself using an X-Acto blade and a needle that I had on hand, and I just cut the eyelet at an angle. That is a recommendation by a lot of people that do rerooting. I was having such a hard time with the official rerooting tools that you can buy from places that sell the hair. And honestly, they're all kind of crap. And I've seen other people say the same thing. So I've been using this same needle on this X-Acto blade for 3 dolls now. I used it on my 2 previous Monster High custom dolls that I did for Halloween and Christmas. And I will let you know, it didn't break even through this project, and I still have it. The same needle I'll use for my next reroot. So don't waste your money on those tools that the companies that sell the hair have. They don't work very well, at least in my experience, and other people's as well. But so I like to mist the hair with some water every once in a while. It helps keep the strands like together, and it helps kind of them clump together when you're trying to separate them. But there we have the whole perimeter of his head done, and I am going to be doing something with this hair. I'm going to give him a hairstyle at the end. And so this hair is definitely longer than I want it to be, and in order to root hair properly, it does need to be at a certain length, so you can kind of wrap it around your finger and get it in there. Now, this is all the hair that I had left at this point, and I thought that should be enough, but it wasn't. I ran out of hair, and I still had some plugs. So I got very, very crafty, or whatever you want to call it. I used the discarded hair that wasn't attached, and very tediously I took strand by strand and made the plugs. And I will say it was nice to use that up, because often I will just throw that out, but I used all that up, and unfortunately even that wasn't enough. So I found that I had this hair left over from another project, and it ended up being the same color for the most part, and so I used that to finish the reroot. And you can see I used that hair. You can't even tell that it's like a different type of hair. I don't even know if it's the same type of hair. The rest of the hair I used was like a saran hair, I believe. But that one might have been nylon. I don't know. So I am securing the hair in his head with Fabri-Tac glue. I use that for all my custom reroots. There's other types of fabric glue you can use, but I find this one works pretty well. And I just use a Q-tip and squish it around in there. I put a ton in there, so that way it holds. And you don't actually need as much because he doesn't have the full head. So now we're going to get into styling his hair. Now, as much as I love that you can see like the different colors when it's like this, I did want to give him kind of a curly hairstyle. And you'll see the results later on in the video after I get these pipe cleaners in his hair. And I will recommend do not use these metallic pipe cleaners if you try to do this at home for a project you're working on. I saw some people online, I can't remember who it was, honestly. It's been a while since I saw it, but this is how they curled the hair on some Barbie dolls they had. And they just used pipe cleaners. Now, I did have some normal non-metallic pipe cleaners, but they were in a different room and I was lazy. And I was like, I'll just use these metallic ones that I have here. I bought them for some other project a long time ago. But I'm just going to take strand by strand and put the pipe cleaners in it and wrap the hair around it. And it's supposed to give a very tight curl when it's all said and done. It did take me a while. I had to do this in like, I think, 3 different installments of me sitting here doing it. And I was listening to my favorite music just on Spotify. I put Spotify on and let it play my liked songs, and it really helps. So now I'm boil washing the hair. That's pretty much boiling water, and then putting it in ice water to shock it so it stays in that curl. And you'll notice the boiled water is a little pink, and that's because of the metallic color, which does come off on his hair a bit. And at the very end of the project, though, I couldn't even tell. Now it's time to repaint his face, and I decided, because I was kind of on a time, kind of out of time for this project, I was trying to get it done as close to Valentine as I could, and I ended up working on this after Valentine's, but I did a lot of the work on Valentine's Day, I will say. That might have been actually when I painted his face, was on Valentine's. But I decided just to use his existing face and not have to go in and repaint the whole thing, because I really liked the way the eyes looked, and they were so simple. Unlike a lot of Monster High dolls, I wiped the face because the faces on them are very distinct for who the character is, and I want to start from scratch. But he has such a basic face, and I liked that the eyes were kind of angular and squared off. And I looked at some Monster High boy dolls, and they also had the same kind of squared off eyes. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to leave it like this, because I am going for sort of a Monster High, Ever After High feel for this doll. And I am just going to paint over his eyebrows with the same pink I used for his head. I end up doing 2 to 3 coats of paint on his eyes because you can still see the eyes underneath the white at the moment. And I also went in with the pink a couple times on the eyebrows. So here's after a few coats, and I decided, you know what, I am going to give him nipples, because why not? They never give dolls nipples, and I just thought it would be kind of cute, because his outfit is going to have his chest exposed, and so I kind of wanted a little more realism for the doll. And now I'm just mixing up various colors of pink and mauve, and that will be what I use to do his eyes. I want there to be at least like 3 different colors in his eyes to give it a little more depth. This brush that I'm using is a must-have if you do customizing and you're doing it with paint. A lot of customizers do it with watercolor pencils, and they use Mr. Super Clear to seal it. But I live in an area that just the temperature never is good for spraying Mr. Super Clear. So I've had to adapt, and I actually really enjoy using acrylic paint to do my repaints. I think it works really well, at least for me, and maybe for you too, if you've struggled with using watercolor pencils. I have done it in the past during a summer when I made the fairy doll that used the same pink hair on him. That was years ago, and it was kind of tedious using the watercolor pencils because you have to seal it after each layer, and then use the watercolor pencils on top after you've sealed it, and then seal it again, and you just repeat until you get the face you want. But I will say acrylic paints, they dry pretty quick, and then you can just paint right on top. And I don't seal anything until I'm completely done with the repaint. I wanted him to have a very kind of not so much monochromatic theme, but I did want to use a lot of pinks and mauve and reds in his design. I actually didn't use any red in his face. I decided I didn't want the harsh redness in his eyes because it could look a little, like demonic maybe. So I just used the pinks. And now I'm just painting some shadows on his eyes using gray paint, and then the dark mauve. And I basically am copying how G3 Monster High doll eyes are on dolls. They always have like this gray shadow on the top of the eyes, and I think that looks really cool. And these Model Master acrylic paints are a amazing paint to use. I need to invest in like a whole set of them in different colors because I only have like 6 colors, and I use the black all the time for like lining the eyes on my doll repaints, and I use it for the pupils, and it works so well right out of the jar because it doesn't need any water added to it. I'm using a stylus and some white paint that I've watered down a bit with that Flow Aid and some water. It's a little too watery on that one, I noticed, and I actually tried to clean it up. And then I gave him little eye shines that are hearts. I wasn't sure if I was going to do that, and then I did it on one, and I'm like, I love it. So I use this acrylic matte varnish on all my doll repaints. After I'm completely done repainting them, I use it to seal all the paint. It is really quite permanent. I've tried using acetone to remove it, and it does not want to remove it, like, at all. Like, you would really have to scrub forever to get it to remove. So I definitely recommend it on doll repaints. So the accessories for this I gathered from various other dolls. These arm guards are from the King Triton Little Mermaid doll for the live action Little Mermaid movie. And I had him in storage, and I'm like, I wasn't sure if I was going to keep him or sell him. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to steal his armor. These flip-flops or sandals are just from a Ken fashion pack. And then the chest piece is from the Mermaid color reveal dolls when they did the Ken. And I stole that from one. I have two of the Merman Ken dolls, so I stole one. And the bow and arrow are actually from a Marvel Legends action figure of it was the New Mutants set. Basically, it came with one figure and 3 head sculpts and some accessories, so you could create 3 different characters. And one of them that you could create was Danny Moonstar, and she has a bow and arrow. And I thought it worked really well. I ended up buying 3 of those action figures so I could have one of each head sculpt in my collection. So I have 2 extra arrows, 2 extra bows. So I just grabbed an arrow and a bow, and I decided to paint those just a little differently so they go with the project a little better. The gold paint, I tried painting on these sandals just by itself, and it was not covering very well. So I added some of this Model Masters like tan color that I have, and the gold still was very prevalent, even with mixing that tan color in. So it covered a lot better that way. So if you ever use metallic paints and they might not be covering very well, definitely mix in like a very similar color and it should work. I'm using my red to paint these gemstones that are on this that normally are not painted. They left those unpainted on the actual piece for the Merman Ken. And I thought they would look really nice if I painted them red. And even though this arrow already has red, it is a little splotchy, so I decided, you know what, I got the red paint here, I'm going to go ahead and paint it. And then I'm also going to paint some red on this. I was looking at it and I thought, you know, I could probably turn these little bumps that are sort of diamond shaped into little hearts. So that's what I did. I painted each one to look like a little red heart. And I think it looks really nice when they're all done. Just adding some red on the handle of this bow, just to kind of tie it together with the arrow and all the other pieces. Now these sandals, you can still see the blue inside there, and I actually go back in off camera and painted it with that tan paint. And you'll see that later on in the video that they are no longer blue. Now I am using 2 different color shift paints. I absolutely love these color shift paints. If I can find links to any of the paints that I use, I will try to include them in the description of the video. But these are so much fun to use. I always paint them on top of a similar color because just by themselves, it's kind of like that gold paint. It doesn't cover very well. But if you paint it on top of like the red on the red and the pink on the pink, it looks really nice when all is said and done. Each color kind of shifts from one color to another. And the pink one has a bit of gold. It has like a gold shift, and I thought that was so beautiful. And I decided to just paint all the accessories using the color shift paints. And I even used it on the red hearts that I painted on this. And the red paint, the red color shift paint, kind of shifts from pink to red. So now we're going to make what's called a pteruges. I think I'm saying that correctly. I looked it up. I couldn't remember if they had a specific name, but a pteruges is basically those strips of leather that you see hanging from like the belts or shoulder pieces of like Roman and Greek warriors. And I thought it would be really cool to use some leftover leather. I bought this reclaimed leather years and years ago, and I've used it for so many different projects, and I still have a ton of it. And it was so cheap, and it was apparently used. It was from a couch, of all things. It was leather from a couch, and I've used it to make leather vests for creatures that I've made. I've used it for belts, for different straps. And now I'm using it to make a pteruges. So this is definitely something I didn't expect to make with it, and I think it's such a cool idea. So I'm just tracing a pattern that I made out of a piece of Post-it note paper. And I'm just tracing it on the back of the leather using a pen. It doesn't matter. You're not going to see the back of it when it's on the doll. I'm just going to cut them all out and glue them to this gold ribbon. I love this gold ribbon. And I made, I think, about 9 of them. And I checked to see, like, fit-wise, if that was going to work on him, to completely cover all the way around. And it seemed to. So I am going to use the ever-trusty Fabri-Tac glue. It works on leather, it works on fabric, it works on trim. It even says trim on the bottle. So I'm using trim and leather, so I figured it should work. And I'm not spacing them out or anything. I'm putting them right next to each other. And I think it looks really cool, but I decided I had this leftover red ribbon. And I decided to just glue that on the top because it will pull in some more red into his design, because I don't have a lot of red. And Valentine's Day to me is always like red and pink and purple. And I actually didn't really use any purple on him. I'm surprised, considering purple is my favorite color. But my previous custom was a Sugar Plum Fairy that I did around Christmas time, and I made her very purple. So I'm like, you know what? We're gonna skip the purple this time. So I thought that red and the gold together, it looks so fancy and lush, and I love it. But I did want to like test the fit. And so I do try it out on his waist. lot of the parts and materials that I used for this were things I already had on hand. The only thing that I had to buy so far in the project was that gold ribbon. And it only cost a few dollars. So this has been like a really nice project to just use up things that I already have on hand, including this Velcro. This is a sticky Velcro that you can just stick, but I glued it to make sure that it was really going to stick. And I thought the leather straps on this could use a decoration. So I decided to paint with all the existing paint colors that I have on hand. Just so it ties everything together, I'm going to paint some little hearts on the bottom of these. And just an FYI, to keep my paint from drying out, I always put the little tray in a Ziploc bag when I'm done for the day or the session that I've been using it. And that way it'll be there to use later on. And I just used those 3 paint colors alternating. And it was like 3 different colors and I had 9 to paint. So it worked out perfectly. And I did go in and put a gloss on top, like a gloss finish on top of some of the paint on these, so it wouldn't wear off as easily. I didn't want to use the matte varnish because it'll dull all that shininess, so I used a gloss. And here are all the pieces together that I created. I really, really love this pteruges. It turned out so good. Alright, so now we're going to finish his hairstyle. And this part I had been waiting for. I wanted to make sure I had his face painted and his costume or outfit all ready to go. But this is what I was talking about with the metallic pipe cleaners. His hair, if you notice, especially on the gold, it looks a little yellow, especially on the tips. And I think it was because the color bled into his hair. And I have a feeling if I were to wash his hair again, it would probably wash out. But I didn't want to have to re-wash his hair and everything, so I just went with it. You know what? If it has a gold kind of tinge to it, it kind of goes with his theme because he does have some gold accents. So I'm actually cutting the hair down about half, maybe more. And I thought it looked kind of cool just like that, but I started teasing it out and I thought it looked really cute that way. So now comes the part that I was really excited to do for this project, and that is to make him a pair of wings. Because Eros is often depicted, pretty much all the time depicted, having wings, because he's basically like Cupid, or he's like an angel. And I saw a video online on YouTube of an artist who made wings, and she shows you how to do it. So I watched her video and I was like, wow, this looks really easy, and it kind of looks like something I could adapt to work for how I want to attach the wings. Because she kind of made them a little differently, and I will put a link to that video for you to watch. And off the top of my head, I cannot remember her name, but I will put a photo of her video in here, or at least her name, and I'll put a link in the iCards to that video. So basically, I just made a pattern of one wing, and then I'm taking this armature wire, and this is wire I use for so many projects. I use it when I make my own creatures as their wire underneath their body. It works so well because you can bend it and rebend it multiple times and it won't break because it's made out of aluminum. So I'm just gonna bend it to make kind of the shape of the wing without all the extra feathers, because those are going to be glued on and hanging down. so I don't want it to like be too big. And I just made 2 of them. I matched them up together, and I twisted the ends so that I could insert the little twisty part into the back of the doll when all is said and done. So I'm taking this white fabric, and this is actually a second time doing this. I did it a first time, and you may notice there's some residue on the metal or armature of glue and fuzz, and that's because I had glued them down, and then I realized I made them too angled. I needed them to be a little more straight out, so I redid it. And I didn't include that in the video because I figured I would just mention it. So yeah, don't be afraid when you're making a project or a custom doll or whatever. Don't be afraid to redo it. Sometimes you have to get it the way you want it to look. So again, I'm using the Fabri-Tac glue to glue these armature wings between the white fabric. And this fabric is super soft. I've had it forever. It might have been given to me by someone, if I remember right. I think a friend of mine gave it to me. But you can see it's really bendy now that it's dried. I've trimmed all the fabric off. So now comes the time to lay it on the little pattern I drew. And I'm using these white craft feathers that I bought from Walmart. Of all places, I could not find white feathers at Michael's. Obviously, we no longer have Joann Fabrics, so I couldn't even go there because they're all gone, and I was so sad about them closing. But anyway, I even checked Hobby Lobby, and I really don't like to shop at Hobby Lobby, and if you know why, you know why. I'm not going to go into it. But yeah, they didn't even have any there. So I looked on the website for Walmart, and I was like, no way, they have white feathers and they're available at the Walmart I shop at. So I went and I picked up 2 packs, and I'm glad I did pick up 2 because 1 pack wasn't quite enough to cover both wings. I needed about 1.5 packs, or even more like 1.25 packs of a pack. And again, I'm just going to use Fabri-Tac glue, and I went through, and you saw me trim every feather so it's a very specific size, and I made like 3 or 4 different sized feathers so that they would fit on the wing and they would look like actual feathers on a wing this small. It was a little tedious, but it was actually kind of fun, and I think it actually looks really cool. The more I glued on the feathers, the more excited I got. And here's the first side pretty much done. And then you have to do the back side, obviously. And in the video I watched, she mentioned that the back side can be mostly bigger feathers because it's just going to be on the back and you won't see it as much. And it's kind of more lifelike that way if you look at a bird's wing. So now I'm just going to trim the top with some feather fuzz. Now these are all the like parts of the feathers that I cut off, and I saved them all and put them in a baggie so that I could use them later on for here. And I'm just using tweezers and my fingers to kind of press all this in. And then once it's dried, I can trim off some excess. I don't want to trim all the excess off because I actually kind of like how fuzzy that looks. I think it looks really cool. So now comes the time to drill some holes in his back. So I used a Dremel tool to do this, but I always mark where I want the holes to be. I definitely think this is such a cool way to attach wings if you want the doll to have posable wings and permanent wings. Now, I will say, once they're glued in, if you want to wash his hair, it's going to be a little more effort because then he has these wings on, you know. There are probably other ways, like the girl that made the wings in the original video shows that you can tie them on with a ribbon, but I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to glue them in the back. That's the same way I did it with my Sugar Plum fairy doll that I made, and also the fairy doll I made a long time ago. And I just want to widen those holes just enough to get the wings in, so they're not loose, but also not too tight, because the aluminum wire can bend really easily, and it's hard to get them in there if it's too small of a hole. So here are his wings on him, and I just think that looks so cool. I do recommend gluing them in, although you could leave them this way, and then they'd be removable if you do this yourself. Now, I am using this E6000 glue. It's a very sturdy glue once it sets, and it's flexible, which I thought was a good idea to use for these wings because I wanted them to stay flexible. But it does take up to like 48 to 72 hours for it to completely dry, especially when you have it inside the body cavity like that. I decided to kind of glue some more feathers just around it to kind of hide the wires and the holes, and it kind of helped hide the Barbie logo since he was no longer a Ken. He's his own thing. Now, I am using a little bit of Loctite super glue, and this stuff, it works pretty quickly, and I just wanted to put that on there to hold the wings until the other glue would dry. And with that, we're ready for the reveal. Now that you've seen all the footage of the creation process, it's time to say hello to Eros, the God of Love. I am so happy with how this doll turned out. I mean, I had my doubts. It took me longer than I hoped it would. But I had so much fun creating him. And just finding pieces that I thought would work together and then repainting them, creating his leather skirt, which is called, I believe, a pteruges. I might be saying that wrong. In Greek and Roman times, they used these to protect themselves from battle or during battle. And it actually translates to feathers. So I thought it was a perfect addition to give him, since he has wings and all. I do have Cupid here because I just thought it would be cute to see them next to each other, because this is Cupid Asteria, CA Cupid. This is the G3 version. I have feathers flying everywhere. The feathers! Oh my gosh, the feathers were everywhere for this project, but I got it mostly cleaned up. But I did want to show you, let me put her right over here, as the feathers are flying everywhere while I'm talking, I'm blowing them around. I did want to show you that his wings are actually really posable. They have the wire armature underneath, so you can actually bend them. I do have them glued to his back, so I can't bend the back as well, but the rest of the wings you can bend. You can even arc them out. You can curl them around him. I just think he turned out so cute. The only thing I would have liked to have added, and I just didn't have the time to really deal with it because I never dealt with it before, was I thought about flocking his shaved hair. But I only have white flocking, gray, I think, or not gray, but tan, and a brown. And I thought I could do the white, but then, I don't know, I thought it might look weird. And I just was so happy with the way his hair turned out. I have never done short hair reroot on a doll before, and so I kind of had some ideas for it, and I will say it worked out. I think it worked out pretty well. The only thing is I may, in the future, if I do this again, I may cut the top a little shorter so it's not so poofy. But other than that, I think he looks so good. So you'll have to let me know down in the comments what you thought of this custom. What did you think of the wings? Now, I said before, I got the idea for these wings from a YouTube video. And I'll put a link to that down below or in the iCards. Now, this pteruges, I created all kind of on my own just from looking at pictures online from items that I already had on hand. So, yeah, let me know. I would love to hear your comments on this. And also, if you could hype the video. And I realize this video came later than I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be out for Valentine's Day. It's coming out a week later, almost a week later. Probably like more like a half a week later. But yeah, I just, it took longer than I thought. And once I got his wings on, then it was like he was pretty much done. And I could not wait to show him off. If you want to see more of this content, definitely give it a like. I love creating custom dolls, and especially getting into the face repainting and the hair rerooting. It's something I was always very intimidated by, and the more I do it, the more I want to do it. The more I keep wanting to make more custom dolls. So, yeah, I had so much fun working on this project. If you have any ideas for future holiday-themed custom dolls, leave a comment down below about that as well. I do love hearing from you all. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications, and you'll get notified whenever I put up a video. Or if you're just interested in the custom videos, you'll get notified when those go up. So I do have a playlist of all my custom dolls down below. And yeah, I had so much fun. I cannot wait to work on my next custom. I've never done a custom boy doll, so this was a lot of fun. So before I say my goodbyes, I do have a Valentine sent over from Enzo from the junk drawer. I sent him some Valentines as well, and he did put up a video for that, and I'll put a link to that. It's a short. I'll put a link to his video in the iCards and probably in the description too, just to be safe. But yeah, he sent me over this Valentine's. I'm covering up his address. It does have my P.O. box on it, though, which is fine. I have that listed. I have that listed in the description of my videos and on my YouTube page because I love getting mail. And if you ever want to send me something out there, like fan mail, or just maybe you have something you think I might like, definitely send it over and let me know. Shoot me a message, comment on the video, wherever. I am on Instagram as well, and I have a link for that in every description of my video. But yeah, so I can't wait to see what Valentine he sent me. He was sending these out to his subscribers, and you just had to let him know that you wanted one. And let's see. Man, I am ripping this apart like crazy. Okay. Why can't I get this out? Enzo, what did you do? Okay. All right. So it has a really pretty gold heart. It kind of goes with his gold theme. I love it. And it's from American Greetings. And and inside it has a second Valentine like you would get at school. This is amazing. And it says, Jonathan, happy Valentine's Day. And he put a little heart. And thanks for being a member, Enzo. Because I am a member of Enzo's as well. And he's a member of mine. So All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, there's multiple things in here. Okay. Oh, this is adorable. Okay, it says, "Orange you glad we're friends." That is super cute. Whoops. Does it smell like oranges? I used to love the scratch and sniff Valentines or stickers. Do you remember those? Does anyone remember those? All right, and then there really is a lot in here. Okay, and oh, this is cool. He sent a Midge Valentine. Man, I keep dropping these. This is so cool. It says Midge, and then on the back, Panini stickers. I used to collect these. This is awesome. This is going to go in my sticker book. Thank you so much, Enzo. I love that. I don't know if we can get all of these to stand up without falling. There we go. Okay. And oh, and there's one more in here. And this looks like a Barbie Valentine, like an old school Barbie Valentine. And it says, "Glad we're friends." And it does say 1988. So I think these might actually be vintage Valentines. That is so cool. Thank you so much, Enzo. Happy Valentine's Day. And happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there watching. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. And definitely, if you did, give it a like. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care out there. Love you guys. Bye. A special shout out to all my members. Thank you guys so much. Also, thank you to all my subscribers, new and old. Without you, these videos would not be possible. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.